The bowl shattered. Mashed potatoes slid down the cabinet thick and steaming. My hands froze above the sink, still wet from rinsing carrots. The faucet hissed. I didn't turn it off. "Don't you hear me? You disgusting old woman." His voice, my son's, shoved through the kitchen like a punch. Before I could turn, the spit hit my cheek. Hot, sharp, immediate. I blinked. Behind him, Wyatt clutched his juice box, staring. Vanessa leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, one perfectly painted nail tapping her elbow. No one moved. I reached for the dish rag, dabbed once, folded it, didn't look up. The steam from the pot filled the silence. Then the beeping of the oven, the roasted chicken I'd marinated since morning. I turned it off, removed the tray, set it gently on the stovetop. Derek didn't apologize. He spun on his heel and muttered something under his breath, something about how he shouldn't have to babysit the ghost of this house. I heard the sliding door open, then slam. Wyatt flinched. Vanessa didn't blink. I turned back to the sink, let the water run until it went hot again. The glass shards scraped against the tile when I bent to pick them up. My knees cracked, my back burned. I didn't mind, not as much as the wet warmth still cooling on my cheek. I dropped the pieces into the trash can slowly, carefully, like if I moved too fast I'd fall apart too. Vanessa finally spoke. "You can't keep setting him off like that, Corliss." I didn't answer. He's under a lot of pressure at work. This house isn't easy for any of us. Still, I said nothing. I reached for the burnt potatoes, scraped them into the garbage. Reached again, scraped again. "You could have just let the carrots go," she added. "It wasn't worth whatever that was." Wyatt shuffled out, didn't say goodbye. The clock ticked. 1, 2, 3. I counted each second as I wiped down the stove, the countertop, the cupboard doors. By the time I set the table, they were gone. 3 plates, no chairs pulled out, no water poured, just me. I sat, ate one dry drumstick. The meat stuck in my throat. I chewed it anyway, swallowed. The napkin was too clean. I folded it again. In the garage, the old recliner waited, the one they moved out of the living room when Vanessa redecorated. Too bulky, she'd said. I sat in it now alone, the lights off the dinner still warm on the table upstairs. I didn't cry. I stared at the dent in the drywall where Derek had kicked it 2 years ago during another one of his episodes. We'd painted over it, but the shape remained. Some things don't leave even when you pretend they did. The hallway light flicked off. Footsteps padded up the stairs. I unfolded the yellow dish rag, tossed it into the laundry bin, then opened the drawer beside me and took out the notebook. Not the recipes, the other one, the one with the dates. I added one more, then circled it. I didn't know what would come next, but I knew it wouldn't be more of this. And upstairs, they didn't know I was still awake. I slammed the fridge harder than I meant to. The milk jostled. A jar of olives tipped. I caught it, steadied it, closed the door. The chicken was already cold. I reheated it anyway, basted it again, added rosemary even though I hate the smell. Vanessa likes it. Says it makes the kitchen feel upscale. I don't correct her. I just stir. The house creaked above me. Footsteps, muffled voices, laughter. I plated everything. Chicken potatoes, though they were dry now, and the peas Wyatt never touches. I even poured the wine Derek likes. Opened the bottle with the rubbery corkscrew that always sticks. Got it open after 2 tries. I lit the candle. Just one. Center of the table. I used to light 2. One for presents, one for memory. Not tonight. No one came down. I waited 10 minutes, then 15. The wax dripped. The potatoes shriveled. The peas clung to each other like they knew what was coming. I turned off the light, took 1 plate, walked it to the garage. That's where they keep the old recliner now. The one Derek used to sit in when he'd visit back when he visited. Before the remodeling. Before Vanessa. Before the rules. I sat, ate slowly. The walls buzzed with the leftover heat of the day. The single bulb above me flickered. Once. Then again. I didn't fix it. I chewed without taste. The meat was rubbery. The wine bitter. But I swallowed it all. The plate emptied. The fork clinked. I sat back. Closed my eyes. Counted the seconds between light flickers. 3. Pause. 2. Pause. 4. Flicker. Upstairs, the TV turned on. The sitcom Vanessa loves. I heard the fake laugh track. Derek's real laugh layered on top of it. I listened to them pass popcorn. Heard Wyatt ask for juice. Heard the fridge door open. Then close. No one asked where I was. I sat in my own house and didn't exist. The room buzzed louder. I picked up the remote and turned on the small radio we kept down here. Classical. Something soft. Something that didn't shout. I didn't cry, but my chest ached in a way that felt like holding in a scream. I leaned forward. Pulled open the side drawer of the old sewing desk Derek pushed out here last year. Said it was ugly. Said I should throw it away. I didn't. Inside, the yellow envelope was still there, unopened. I held it. Felt the weight. Just paper. But not just. I didn't open it. Not yet. I placed it under the cushion of the recliner. Close enough. The bulb flickered again, then steadied. I got up, washed my plate, dried it, put it away, walked upstairs. The living room smelled like butter. Wyatt giggled. Derek didn't look up. Vanessa scrolled on her phone. I passed them both. In the hallway, the thermostat blinked. They'd turned the AC colder again. Said it helped them sleep. I went into my room, shut the door, no lock. But I pressed a chair against the knob anyway, just in case. In the dark, I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled out the notebook again. The one with the dates. I flipped back 3 pages. Read a note I wrote in March. He promised to move me upstairs. He never did. I circled it in red this time, then added tonight's date below it. No words, just the numbers. I closed the notebook, placed it under the pillow, and lay down without undressing. I ripped the envelope clean open. Wells Fargo. Again. Inside, another credit card statement. Charges I didn't make. Home decor stores. Online streaming bundles. A $492 dinner at a place I've never heard of. Tipped 25%. The card was in my name. The balance had doubled since last month. I sat at the garage workbench, the one they used to stack their camping gear, and added the charges to my notebook. Line by line. Date. Amount. Description. No one had asked for permission. I tore the envelope in half, then into quarters. Then I stopped myself. Saved the statement. Stapled it behind the last one. Filed it under a manila tab labeled "Not Mine." Upstairs, Wyatt's feet ran down the hall. The sound was light, unbothered. He was laughing. Then I heard it. "Granny Mooch," he called out. "Granny Mooch. Where are you hiding?" I paused, waited. He ran past the garage door, still laughing. Vanessa's voice followed. "Wyatt, that's not funny. It's what you called her yesterday." She didn't answer. I didn't come out. Later, I checked the living room wall, the family photo gallery. Last year, there was a picture of me with Wyatt at the beach, him in floaties, me in a wide-brimmed hat. It was gone now, replaced by a canvas print of Vanessa and Derek at some vineyard, holding glasses, laughing at nothing. I kept walking, into the kitchen, saw my name had been erased from the emergency contact list taped to the fridge. Vanessa's mom was listed instead. I didn't say anything. I opened the pantry. My tea was gone. The shelf I used for baking ingredients now held dog treats. We don't have a dog. The oven timer went off. Vanessa opened the door, pulled out a tray of pastries. Not one for me. Not one I could eat. She glanced at me. "You're still up, I live here," I said, without meaning to. She smirked. "Right." I returned to the garage. On the way, I passed the hall calendar. My birthday had been erased. The little heart I'd drawn around the date rubbed off. I leaned closer. The residue still showed in pencil. Vanessa's birthday was circled. So was Wyatt's school play. A bridal shower. Someone else's baby shower. Nothing for me. The next morning, I made pancakes. Old habit. Even cut strawberries into hearts for Wyatt. He didn't come down. I found him upstairs playing on his tablet. "I made your favorite." He shrugged. "Mom says we're eating clean now." I didn't ask what that meant. Derek walked by with gym clothes on, looked me over like I was in the way. I stepped aside. In the garage, I stared at the sewing desk again, thought about moving it back inside. But there was no space left. Every room had been claimed. Even mine felt smaller. At noon, a delivery came. I opened the door. The man smiled. "Package for Corliss Hartley." I signed, took the box. Inside was a silk pillow set, lavender colored. A receipt tucked inside. Charged to my card. Vanessa appeared behind me. "Oh, you got that. I forgot to mention I used your name since the system saves it from the last order." I handed her the box. She took it without a thank you, without a pause. That night, I lit a single candle in the garage. I brewed coffee, black, no cream, no sugar, no guest cup. I sat in the recliner notebook on my lap. Wrote 3 names, Derek, Vanessa, Wyatt. Then underlined one word, mooch. I closed the notebook, placed it under the armrest, and pulled out the yellow envelope. I slammed the phone down. The clinic receptionist had just told me my appointment was canceled by me. Except, I never called. "Your daughter-in-law said you'd reschedule," she'd added like it was no big deal. "Hope you're feeling better." I wasn't. My knee had swollen again. The same one I had surgery on after Robert passed. Cold weather made it worse. I needed that checkup. I walked into the kitchen. Vanessa stood at the counter with her smoothie. "You canceled my doctor's appointment." She didn't look up. "I thought you'd prefer a later date. We had Wyatt's recital that day. You never asked." She blinked slowly, as if I'd interrupted a thought that didn't include me. I was trying to help. I opened the fridge. No milk, no eggs. The shelf where I kept my lunch things gone, replaced by a row of glass jars labeled in neat handwriting chia flax oat hemp. I made toast with old bread I found in the pantry and sat at the corner of the dining table. Vanessa stared at me like I'd broken an invisible rule. "That chair's where I film now," she said. I didn't move. She set her glass down harder than she needed to. "I mean it, Corliss." The echo throws the audio. I stood, took my toast, walked outside. The garage door creaked as I pulled it closed behind me. The walls smelled of paint and fertilizer. I sat on the folding chair they used for tailgates and ate my toast in silence. Later, when I came back inside to rest, I found my room empty. Not just untidy, empty. My bed frame gone. Mattress folded against the wall. Boxes stacked where my dresser used to be. A whiteboard leaned against the corner with a marker clipped to it. Goals written in pink. Vanessa's handwriting. My pillow was on the floor. "What is this?" Vanessa entered behind me, smiling like she'd planned a surprise. "We're turning it into my home office. Don't worry, we're setting you up just fine downstairs." "Downstairs?" She gestured toward the garage. "Derek said it was time we all had our own space." I didn't answer, just walked past her. In the garage, they'd moved the recliner into the corner and laid out a camping cot. One blanket, one pillow, no lamp, no curtains. The floor was still stained with oil. A plastic tub sat near the cot. Inside my folded sweaters, one family photo frame with Robert's face turned inward, and the coffee mug that said number 1. Mom Derek gave me in 2002. I sat on the cot. The spring squeaked. I didn't cry. The next morning, I woke up early and went to use the upstairs bathroom. The door was locked. Vanessa's voice on the other side. Just use the one out there. It's what we talked about. I hadn't talked about anything. The garage had a half shower stall, left from when Robert tried to turn it into a workshop. It was rusted, missing a door. Cold water only. I used it. Toweled off in silence. Derek walked in halfway through, muttering something about needing his weights. Saw me in a towel and flinched. Geez, Mom, a little warning. He left before I could say anything. I wrapped the towel tighter and sat on the cot. Robert's envelope sat under the cushions still. I reached for it. Held it in my lap. Didn't open it yet, but I moved it to the side drawer under the flashlight and wrote the word evicted in my notebook. I yanked the drawer open. The wood caught, stuck, then gave way with a loud snap. Inside, everything was jumbled. Robert's cufflinks, my old address book, a broken rosary, a photo of Derek at age 6 with a plastic sheriff's badge, and the envelope. Yellow, heavy, sealed with a faded red sticker. Robert's handwriting across the front in black ink. For Corliss only. I'd forgotten it was there. No, I'd buried it. He'd given it to me 3 months before he died. Told me to keep it safe and not open it unless necessary. I never wanted it to be necessary. I held it in both hands. It still smelled faintly like his pipe tobacco. That smell used to fill this whole house. Now it was vanilla candles and essential oils. Vanessa's choices. I sat on the cot holding the envelope in my lap. My fingers traced the edge, then stopped at the seal. I didn't open it. Not yet. I tucked it back into its plastic sleeve and slid it under the mattress. Not safe, but close. Close was all I had. Footsteps thudded above me, then laughter. Vanessa's voice floated down through the vents. She still thinks she owns the place. Followed by Derek's snort. She won't do anything. She never has. I didn't blink. I stood, pulled the cot sheet tight, smoothed the creases, sat again. The envelope pressed faintly beneath me, like a spine. I reached for my notebook, opened to the back. Began a list. Things they've taken my room. My doctor, my kitchen chair, my name on the emergency contact, my birthday, my money. I paused, then added, my voice. I shut the book. Later that afternoon, I heard Wyatt crying. Real crying. Not the kind he fakes when he wants a toy. I walked to the stairs, stood quietly. Vanessa was shouting. I said no, Wyatt. That old chair isn't yours to play with. You think everything's a joke, I just wanted the flashlight, he sobbed. Grandma said I could. Vanessa's footsteps stomped away. I stepped back into the garage. My flashlight, the one I kept beside the cot, was gone. I sat in the dark. Counted breaths. 1, 2, 3. Then I stood. Took the envelope from beneath the mattress, slid it into the back of the notebook, and walked back up into the house. The living room was empty. The door to the kitchen was open. I went to the fridge, pulled out a bottle of water, and opened it. Vanessa walked in. She paused when she saw me. Eyed the water bottle like it belonged to her. Do you need something? I sipped, wiped my mouth. No, I said. Her eyes narrowed. Then maybe don't hang around the main rooms during Wyatt's learning time. You distract him. I nodded once. Not at her at the moment. At what I was filing away. I turned, walked back to the garage. I sat down. Notebook in lap. Drew a box around today's date. Then wrote 2 words beside it. Time shifts. I placed the envelope back under the mattress, then opened the banker's card I'd saved from last winter, and dialed the number. I gripped the stair railing and didn't move. Their voices spilled from the kitchen, too loud, too loose. Laughter, sharp as glass. She'll be fine in that little garage corner, Vanessa said. I mean, she barely comes out anymore. She's practically phased out already, Derek replied. It's like she's pre-dead. More laughter. Real belly laughs like someone had told a great joke. She still thinks the house is hers, Vanessa added. It's kind of cute, honestly. We'll sell it once we help her transition. My stomach turned. Oh, and I told the agent we'd be ready to list this spring, she said casually, assuming she's, wherever people like her go. Early inheritance, Derek said. Call it a bonus round. I stepped back. One creak from the floorboard under my heel, and the laughter stopped. Forks clinked, glass tapped the countertop. I turned, walked back down the stairs before they had a chance to pretend they hadn't meant every word. In the garage, I didn't sit. I paced. They weren't waiting for me to die. They were clearing the path. I opened the notebook, wrote one sentence across the page. They're not hiding it anymore. I circled it 3 times. Then I pulled the yellow envelope out from under the mattress. Held it. Didn't open it yet. I needed more than just hope. I needed verification. The next morning, I dressed early. No one noticed when I left. At the bank, I asked to speak with Eleanor. She'd helped Robert and me set up our accounts after his retirement. She looked surprised to see me. Corliss, I didn't know you were still on the house documents. I froze. What do you mean? She pulled up the records on her screen, turned it slightly toward me. My name was still on the title. Sole owner. No amendments. No transfers. No added signatures. They told me, she shook her head. They've tried to inquire, but nothing's been changed. Not legally. My throat dried. And the trust account, she typed again. Still active. Still in my name. Still untouched. I left the bank with a printed copy of the deed. Folded it twice. Slipped it into the same folder as the yellow envelope. Back in the garage, I locked the door. I brewed a single cup of coffee. Sat. Breathed. Vanessa knocked an hour later. We're hosting a dinner party Saturday for Derek's boss. Clean up your area. My area. She rolled her eyes. The garage. I sipped my coffee. She glanced down at the notebook in my lap. Still journaling your retirement fantasy, I smiled without showing teeth. Something like that. She left. I flipped the page. Saturday. 7 p.m. Boss arrives. Wine. Suits. Ego. I underlined it. Drew a circle beside it. Then a small arrow. I stared at the folded deed. At Robert's envelope. Then picked up the phone again. This time I called Eleanor back. I'll need a statement notarized, I said. And a certified copy of the trust terms. Her voice stayed calm. Professional. But I could tell she remembered what Robert was like. What I had helped build. I'll have it ready Friday. I thanked her. Hung up. And added 2 more words to the page dinner plan. I picked up the phone and dialed Esther. She answered on the second ring, voice warm like always. Corliss, you finally called. I hadn't told her about the move to the garage, about the erased birthday, about the doctor appointment Vanessa canceled behind my back. I told her now, not everything, but enough. There was a pause. Then a slow inhale. I knew something was wrong, she said. Derek hasn't returned my calls in weeks. And Vanessa, well, she's never liked when you and I talked. She acts like I'm just a leftover. She's threatened by anything that existed before her, Esther replied. That's not your fault. I told her about the dinner party. The plan to sell the house. Esther was quiet again. Then she said something I didn't expect. Want me to come Saturday? The silence on my end stretched. I could drop in, she offered. Accidentally. It'd catch them off guard. I hesitated, then said yes. It felt good. Just for a moment. 2 days later, Vanessa cornered me in the laundry room. Her smile was tight, her voice lower than usual. Having secret calls now, I folded a towel. Didn't look at her. Esther's been calling everyone she said, saying you're being mistreated, that you're being evicted. I never used that word. You didn't have to. Her voice rose slightly. Do you think people are stupid? Do you think we're stupid? I kept folding. I knew you'd try to turn people against us, she said. You act all meek and quiet, but you've been plotting since day one. Still, I said nothing. Vanessa stepped closer, her perfume sharp, synthetic. You think someone's going to come save you? They won't. They know what you are, what you cost. She walked out. That night, the neighbors didn't wave. Not the couple across the street. Not the boy who usually tossed my newspaper back up the steps. Something had shifted. The next morning, the mail was missing. Derek said it must have been delayed. I found it in the trash bin behind the garage, unopened, smeared with old coffee grounds. Inside, a coupon from the pharmacy, a birthday card from a cousin in Ohio, and a letter from my church group. All damp, all ruined. I didn't confront him. I went inside, closed the garage door, paced, then opened my notebook. Esther Chaucer's leak. I drew a box around her name, crossed it once. I brewed coffee, black, the way Robert used to drink it. Let the smell fill the space. The house above me thumped with footsteps and TV noise. I stayed below, safer there. Later, I heard Vanessa on the phone. She's playing victim again. Everyone's falling for it. Then, no, we can't rush the sale? She's still, technically. Her voice dropped lower. I couldn't make out the rest. I sat down on the cot, opened the side drawer, pulled out the envelope, stared at the seal, then slid it into a manila folder along with the deed copy and the notarized bank papers Eleanor sent that morning. I labeled the folder in small black pen, Saturday. I slipped it into my old tote bag, zipped it closed, and placed it gently behind the toolbox. I slammed the car door shut and walked straight into the branch. No appointment, no smile. I asked for Eleanor. The receptionist hesitated, then nodded. She's finishing up with a client. I'll wait. I sat, didn't check my watch. Didn't sip the water they offered. Just sat. 10 minutes later, Eleanor appeared. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Corliss, she said carefully. Come on back. Her office smelled like citrus. Clean, controlled, unlike my garage. I handed her the statement from last month, pointed to the rerouted deposit. This isn't my account. She blinked, took the paper, pulled up her screen. Lines of numbers filled the space. Looks like the routing was updated last month. I didn't change it. She stiffened, clicked twice. We do keep records of account changes. Let me see. She paused, then turned the monitor slowly toward me. A scanned document filled the screen. My name, my signature, except it wasn't. It looked like mine. Almost. But Robert always said I dotted my IS too high. This one was perfect. Too perfect. Who brought this in? She scrolled down. Derek Hartley. Claimed he had power of attorney. My throat closed. He doesn't. She nodded slowly. I didn't handle this. I would have flagged it. Can you reverse it? I'll start the process. But we need to open a fraud investigation. I'll need your ID, a written statement, and done, I said. She pulled open a drawer, slipped a business card onto the desk, then subtly slid a second one under her hand. Held it there. This one's mine, she said. But if things are complicated at home, this other one she tapped twice is someone who can help. No pressure. I took both. She arranged for the pension to be frozen temporarily, opened a new sub-account under my name only, reconfirmed the trust was untouched. We signed the forms. No small talk. I walked out into the late afternoon sun with a folder tucked under my arm and 2 business cards pressed flat in my pocket. The tote bag waited in the passenger seat. I placed the folder beside it, then turned the key. I pulled into the shade of an elm tree and cut the engine. Then I dialed. The second business card was warm in my hand, the print slightly raised. A man answered on the third ring. Calhoun Legal. This is Corliss Hartley. I was given your card by a banker at Wells Fargo. Silence. Then a shift in tone. Robert Hartley's wife? Yes. Another pause. Not confusion, recognition. I have availability at 2:30. Today? Bring the envelope. He didn't ask what was in it. I arrived early, parked down the block, walked slowly, the tote bag snug under my arm. The office was quiet, minimal. Walls lined with binders, not photographs. No receptionist. He opened the door himself. Tall, late 50s, crisp shirt, no tie. He offered coffee. I declined. Let's get to it, he said, nodding to the tote. I unzipped it, pulled out the yellow envelope, laid it flat on the table between us. He didn't touch it. You sure you want to open this? No, I said. But it's time. He broke the seal cleanly, pulled out 2 documents. The first, a revised will, dated 3 months before Robert's heart attack. All assets transferred to me. The house, the account, the stocks, the vehicles, even the life insurance policy. He read silently, flipping each page with care. Then he looked at me. This one overrides any previous document filed, fully valid, filed and notarized. I said nothing. The second sheet was shorter, handwritten, folded into quarters. He unfolded it slowly, read it once, then slid it to me. I read Robert's handwriting. Corliss. If you're reading this, it means they pushed too far. I knew they would. Vanessa has charm, but no loyalty. Derek forgets who he is when she's near. You built this home. You deserve to control what happens to it. If they ever try to erase you, open this. The lawyer below knows what to do. R. My throat tightened. I placed both hands flat on the table. The lawyer spoke again, voice even. This gives you full legal standing. They don't own a square inch of that property. They've only been living there under your grace. I nodded. Grace had expired. He leaned forward. I can begin filing notices. Quietly. Or we can wait. You tell me the pace. I want Saturday, I said. He blinked. The dinner. Yes. He nodded slowly. You'll need to gather anything sentimental before then, because after you act, I know. I placed the will and letter back into the tote. Stood. He didn't offer his hand. Just a firm nod. You're not the first woman I've seen come in quiet and leave holding the match. I'm not here to burn it down. No, he said, but you're ready to stop being the fuel. I left the office. The street was brighter now. I climbed into the car, turned on the engine, and dialed one last number. I dialed Eleanor from the car, told her I needed the last copy of the house deed signed, sealed, notarized, told her to send it directly to Calhoun Legal. She didn't ask why. It'll be there in the morning. I hung up, drove with both hands on the wheel, every turn sharp, every stop deliberate. No music, no talk radio, just the sound of my tires on pavement and the thud in my chest that had stopped feeling like fear. Back in the garage, I laid the tote on the cot and opened it. The yellow envelope was gone. In its place order. Robert's letter. The new will, the deed copy, the notarized trust, the banker's notes, all filed, labeled, protected. I placed the documents into a new folder, labeled it in black ink, property of Corliss Hartley. Not mom, not guest, not Granny Mooch. Corliss. That night, Derek stood in the doorway of the garage. You coming up for dinner or what? I looked up from my notebook. You didn't invite me. He shrugged. We didn't think you'd want to. Still your house, is it? He laughed. Not officially, yet. Vanessa's been on me to get the paperwork finished, sell while the market's up. I stood, walked past him, up the stairs. He followed me to the kitchen. You know, he said, opening a beer, it's just business. You don't really need all this space. You don't even like the new layout. I sat at the counter, watched him drink. Where's the original deed, I asked. He blinked. What? The original title to the house. You've been poking around. He paused, grinned. Vanessa found a copy in Dad's old files. I used it to get an estimate. We might clear close to $800,000. I didn't flinch. He leaned in, lowering his voice. "We've put in a lot of work since Dad died, Mom. We've made this house livable." I looked at him, his easy posture, the beer in his hand, the entitlement baked into every word. "You forged my signature." He laughed, then stopped. "What are you talking about?" "You rerouted my pension, used an old document, said you had power of attorney." Mom? I didn't. It's been reversed. Permanently." He stood straight now, the grin gone. I spoke to Robert's attorney. He took a step back. "You went to Calhoun." I nodded, and I pulled the folded paper from my pocket, held it flat on the counter. Robert's handwriting, the clause highlighted in yellow. If Derek disrespects Corliss in public, it read, his inheritance reverts. The house, the accounts, the insurance, all returned to her name alone. No contest. Irrevocable. He stared at it, then at me. "You're bluffing." I walked past him, back down the stairs, into the garage. I didn't shut the door behind me, just sat, notebook open, and wrote 3 words. He finally knows. I walked into the bank the next morning before they unlocked the doors. Eleanor let me in early. I signed the transfer forms in silence. Every cent of my pension rerouted to a private account in my name only. No secondary access, no shared authority, no linked beneficiaries. She handed me a temporary card. I slid it into my wallet. Not the family drawer. Not the kitchen basket. My wallet. Afterward, I called the credit card companies. 3 calls, each one the same. Close the joint account. Why? Because I'm no longer funding strangers. I cut the cards in half. Dropped them in the trash. By lunchtime, Vanessa's gym membership declined. At 2:00 p.m., the dealership called to confirm the tow. The SUV was still in my name. They'd missed a payment last quarter. Automatic drafts had been bouncing right after Derek rerouted my pension. 1 signature, 1 phone call, 1 towing order. Gone. By 4:30, Vanessa was pacing the driveway, phone pressed to her ear, voice sharp. It must be a mistake, my mother-in-law wouldn't. She saw me standing by the window. She went silent. I didn't wave. She marched inside, slammed a few drawers, cursed into her phone. Derek didn't come down. Dinner was quiet. No one called me up. No one brought a plate. I boiled a potato, ate it standing. Afterward, I rinsed my mug, dried it, placed it back in the drawer I had labeled Corliss only. I didn't label it with tape. I carved it slow into the wood. That night, Vanessa knocked on the garage door. Not loud, not soft. I didn't answer. She opened it anyway. "Did you move the money?" I looked up from my notebook. "No," I said. I took it back. She scoffed. "You're being petty." "No," I said again. "I'm being legal." "You towed my car." "My car," I said. "Still titled in my name." She went quiet. "You don't want to do this," she said finally. "I already did." She stood there for a long moment, then shut the door behind her. Not slammed, not forced, just closed. I finished my sentence in the notebook. The shift isn't loud, but it spreads. I took the documents out one by one. The trust statement, the original deed, Robert's handwritten clause, my private account access code. I placed them flat on the table, smoothed the corners, folded them carefully once, twice, and tucked them into a cream envelope. No label, no instructions, just weight and truth. Then I opened the storage bin beneath the cot and pulled out the blue box. Wyatt gave it to me 3 Christmases ago, covered in cartoon snowmen. "Keep it forever," he said. "Only for special stuff." That day, I stored his macaroni card and a photograph of Robert, holding him as a baby. Today, I kept the card, moved the photo to the back, slid the envelope inside, snapped the lid shut, waited. That afternoon, he wandered into the garage like always. No knocking, no guilt. He was holding a juice box and a bag of pretzels. "Grandma," he said, mouth half full, Can I sit with you? I moved over on the cot. He climbed up small knees, pulled to his chest. We sat in silence. He crunched. I breathed. Then I handed him the box. His eyes lit up. Is this for me? Yes. What's inside? Something important. Like treasure. Like history. He giggled. What do I do with it? Hide it. Don't tell anyone, not even your parents. He blinked. Not even Mom, he asked. Especially not Mom. He stared at the box, turning it slowly. Can I open it? Not yet. When your 18th birthday? Not a day before? He nodded solemnly. Pressed the box against his chest. Okay, he said. Is this a game? Sort of. What do I win? You'll see. He smiled. I'll keep it in my room. Under the bed. With the dinosaur bones. Good. He hopped off the cot. Skipped to the door. Stopped. Thanks, Grandma. You always give the best stuff. Then he left. I didn't cry. I didn't write anything in the notebook. I just stared at the closed door and pictured the future 6 years from now when someone would open a blue box and realize the woman they ignored had planned everything. That evening, Derek stomped down the stairs. Have you seen Wyatt? He was here earlier. Did he take anything? I shook my head. He didn't ask twice. Didn't look around. Just muttered and left. The door creaked. I heard them upstairs, voices, sharp movement, frantic. Something was shifting again. Only this time I didn't have to touch it. Vanessa knocked before entering. She smiled too wide, carried 2 mugs of coffee like peace offerings, set one on the corner of my cot. Hazelnut. Sweet. Not my flavor. She sat without asking. I've been thinking, she said, tucking her hair behind her ear like it made her gentler. You've been here so long, and you've done so much. I think it's time we make things easier for you. I sipped slowly. She kept going. There are ways to simplify ownership. Estate stuff. Tax protection, that kind of thing. She reached into her purse, pulled out a manila folder. Inside a copy of the deed. Fake. Brand new formatting. Different seal. Sloppy font choice. Robert would have laughed. If you just sign here, she said, sliding it forward, we can start consolidating. Keep the house in the family, reduce inheritance issues down the line. I set the mug down. Picked up the pen she'd brought, blue, bold, cheap. Signed it, right where she pointed. She blinked, then smiled. I knew you'd see reason. I smiled too. Thank you for explaining. She stood practically skipping up the stairs. An hour later, Derek came home with flowers. Not for Vanessa. For me. Thought you'd like lilies, he said, laying them on the garage table. You always liked those, right? He grilled steak, medium rare. Set a plate aside just in case you're hungry. Wyatt brought it down later with a folded napkin and a smile. They thought they'd won. That night, I took the fake deed and slipped it into the cardboard box marked recycling. Covered it with a grocery flyer and an empty oatmeal tin. Upstairs, laughter. Wine glasses clinked. Music floated down. I went to the toolbox, pulled out the real deed, creased but crisp, still notarized, still legal, still mine. I tucked it back inside the folder, slipped the folder under the cot, inside the lining, taped shut. Let them toast. Let them flirt with victory. Let them smile at each other across stolen air. I boiled water, brewed my own coffee. Black. Robert's style. My name on the mug. As the footsteps above grew louder, I sat and wrote 3 words in the notebook. They bought it. Vanessa poured wine like she owned the vineyard. She wore cream silk and a gold pin at her collarbone, one she borrowed from my drawer last year without asking. Derek carved the roast like a game show host, smiling wide, slicing thick. Wyatt passed rolls down the table napkin tucked in his collar. Cousins I hadn't seen in years filled the chairs. A neighbor from 3 doors down. One of Vanessa's yoga friends. Not family, not quite friends, just enough mouths to make the house feel full. The table groaned with food I hadn't cooked. No one asked me to help. No one noticed I was the only one drinking water. To new beginnings, Derek said, lifting his glass. To growth, Vanessa chimed in, eyes shining. I lifted my glass halfway. Not a toast, not a protest, just presence. Vanessa stood, clicked a button on her tablet. A slideshow lit the living room wall. Floor plans, granite countertops, open concept, skylights. Our home, she said, voice sweet. We've been dreaming of remodeling for years. Derek wants a game room, I want a spa bathroom, Wyatt wants a slide. Laughter, applause. Someone clapped twice and said, about time. Of course, Vanessa added. We'll start as soon as the paperwork's finalized. She didn't look at me, but everyone else did. Smiles tightened. Glances flickered. Derek took a sip of wine. Set the glass down. Well, he said, voice too loud, none of it would be possible without our favorite walking loan. He nodded toward me. Thanks, Mom. A few people laughed. Vanessa laughed hardest. I folded my napkin slowly. Didn't blink. Didn't swallow. Didn't leave. Just leaned back and smiled. Derek raised his glass again. Seriously, though. You've done your part. We'll take it from here. Vanessa's hand slid across the table. Touched his. I watched them perform. Watched the room nod along. Watched the future they built with a match and no fear of fire. When the dessert tray came out, no one passed me a plate. I didn't ask. I stood. Walked upstairs. Stopped by the hall closet. Pulled down my binder. Walked back down. Set it on the table. No one noticed. Not yet. I returned to the garage. Lit the candle Robert left behind. Wrote in my notebook, tomorrow I'll let it burn. I stood. Not loudly, not shakily. Just enough to shift every eye in the room. Vanessa's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Derek smirked like he always did when I moved without being told. I picked up the folder from the buffet table. Black, plain, thick. Laid it in front of him. You forgot something I said. He chuckled. What's this recipes read? He opened it lazily. The first page was the deed my name signed and stamped. No transfer, no addendum. Just me. His smile faltered. The next page, power of attorney revoked, notarized, certified. Then the banking statements. My pension rerouted. His access cut. My account sealed. Vanessa leaned forward, eyes scanning faster than breath. Trust fund documents followed. Wyatt's name in bold, not Derek's. The clause from Robert's letter came last, highlighted, annotated, signed by Robert himself. If Derek disrespects Corliss publicly, all assets revert. Vanessa whispered. This isn't real. It's legal, I said, filed, dated, copied with your signature attempt attached. Derek's jaw clenched. You've been spying. I've been watching. You manipulated this. I documented it. A pause spread. Chairs creaked. Breaths held. Cousin Joel leaned forward. Wait, this is all yours. It's always been mine. You tricked us, Derek said, standing now, fists tight. No, I said, voice calm. You dismissed me. Vanessa stood next. You're not going to throw us out. That would be... I raised one hand. She stopped. You'll leave, I said. Quietly or publicly. But you will leave. Wyatt's spoon dropped. He stared at me, wide-eyed, unsure whose side to take. I turned to him. Your blue box is safe, I said, gently. He nodded. Slowly. Didn't speak. Vanessa grabbed Derek's arm. Say something. But he couldn't. Because every paper in that folder was a chain he'd welded himself. Every form of disrespect had built the case. The insult, the spit, the forgery, the party. Now it was done. I picked up the folder, tapped it once on the table. Dinner's over. Then I walked out. Left the silence behind me. Let it soak into their teeth, down the stairs, into the garage. No rush. I closed the door. Didn't lock it. Didn't need to. They'd just learned what locks really sounded like. I changed the locks before sunrise. Paid in cash. Watched the man drill replace rekey. No questions asked. By 8, the moving truck arrived. Not for me. For them. Boxes already packed. Labeled in Sharpie. Left at the curb. Vanessa's heels. Derek's gaming console. The blender they never let me use. By 9, the lawyer's office sent confirmation title transferred. Funds secured. Trust protected. By 10, the yard sign went in. Property sold. Do not trespass. By noon, I made coffee. Black, strong, silent. They came at 3. Vanessa's tires screeched. Derek jumped the sidewalk. Wyatt climbed out last, clutching his backpack like a shield. Derek jogged to the porch. Stopped. The key didn't work. He tried again. And again. Slapped the door. Open it. I stayed in the kitchen. Sipped slow. Vanessa stormed up next, yanked the knob. Pounded. Corliss. What the hell is this? The front door remained still. A voice answered instead. Not mine. Afternoon, the man said from the yard. New tenant. Watering hose in hand, hat pulled low. You folks lost? Derek turned. This is my house. The man shook his head. No, it's not. Just closed yesterday. Belongs to Corliss Hartley. Vanessa shoved past him red-faced. This is a mistake. She doesn't. She can't. She can, he said. She did. Wyatt stood at the bottom step, eyes wide. Grandma. I stepped into view. Through the side window. Lifted my mug. Didn't wave. Derek ran to the window. You're really doing this? I nodded once. She's bluffing, Vanessa hissed. I held up the signed closing document, pressed it against the glass. His mouth moved no sound. Wyatt backed away, looked between them, then at me. Vanessa screamed something sharp. Wyatt flinched. I opened the side door. Only wide enough for him. He walked slowly, stopped at the step. Can I stay? I nodded. He entered. I closed the door behind him. Outside, Vanessa screamed louder. Derek kicked the porch rail. The new tenant stood calmly. Time to go, he said. They didn't move, so he picked up his phone. Dialed. By 4, they were gone. Boxes still at the curb, tires peeling away. I turned off the porch light, unplugged the doorbell, locked every window. Wyatt unpacked quietly in the guest room. I brewed another pot. Set out 2 mugs. He sat beside me. Didn't ask for explanations. Just drank. Just stayed. Derek banged on the lawyer's door before it opened. He shouted, cursed, waved papers. No one answered. The voicemail stayed full. The receptionist offered no help. We don't represent you, she said flatly. He paced the sidewalk outside for an hour, sweat clinging to his collar. Tie crooked, face blotchy. Vanessa called from the car, screamed through the speaker, demanded that he fix it. You said she was senile. He sat on the curb, rubbed his face. She's not. She stole everything. No, he said quieter. She just took it back. The next day he tried charm. He showed up with flowers. I didn't open the gate. He left a voicemail. Mom, I was angry. I was stressed. I didn't mean it. I saved the message. Didn't return the call. Vanessa changed tactics, threatened lawyers, posted on Facebook, told everyone I was unstable, said I'd manipulated documents, said I'd used Wyatt. Wyatt stayed quiet. He moved between his other grandparents' house and school. Vanessa didn't want him near me anymore. Until she signs it back, she told Derek we go no contact. Derek didn't argue, didn't protest, just drank. I heard from a neighbor that he'd been seen at the bar 3 nights in a row. Slumped in the corner, alone. Once he stumbled into the street and tried to use his old house key on a mailbox. Didn't fit. He left it there. I found it the next morning. Bent, scratched teeth dulled. I slipped it into the kitchen drawer. Didn't throw it away, just let it sit. By the end of the week, Vanessa had packed her things. Took the car I let her believe she owned. She left a voicemail too. "You're pathetic. You ruined your own son." I didn't save hers. Derek called again that night, just once. He didn't say anything. I let it ring. Wyatt returned on Sunday with a small suitcase. No explanation. Just hugged me tight and went to his room. He didn't ask where his parents were. He didn't cry. He just unpacked his backpack, took out his homework, and asked if we had markers. I brought him the ones I kept from his kindergarten year. The box still had his name in Robert's handwriting. He smiled. Got to work. I packed fast. No goodbyes. No notes. Just folded what mattered and left the rest. The house sold again. This time to a family with twins and a dog. They brought laughter and sidewalk chalk. That's what it needed. I moved into a small condo by the lake. 1 bedroom, 1 chair, 1 pot for coffee. No hallway footsteps. No doors slammed. No spit on the floor. Just morning. Just stillness. I read old books, the ones Robert never got to finish. Walked the trail near the dock. Counted turtles. Watched the fishermen lie to each other. The neighbors waved politely. I nodded back. No one knew my name, and I liked it that way. I unplugged the landline. Shut off voicemail. Left the cell in a drawer. Let silence grow teeth. Derek texted twice. I didn't open them. Vanessa didn't bother. Wyatt wrote a letter. Folded, handwritten, left in the condo mailbox by some quiet hand. It said, "I miss your coffee. And the purple blanket, and how you don't talk too much." He signed it with a doodle of the 2 of us on the porch swing. I didn't cry. I lit a candle. Sat by the window. Watched the steam rise from my mug like a soft exhale. Sometimes I whispered things aloud just to hear a voice. Not because I needed an answer, just proof that I still existed, that I hadn't disappeared completely. I wore Robert's old sweater. The sleeves were too long, but they felt right. Some nights I played the piano in the common room. Nothing fancy. Just chords I remembered. One of the neighbors peeked in. I didn't stop. The next night she brought tea. I made her coffee. She liked it better. We didn't talk about family, didn't ask, didn't need to. In the quiet, something returned. Not hope, not revenge, just peace. It settled in the space where pain used to echo, filled it, pressed down, stayed. And for the first time in years, I slept without flinching at 3 a.m., without waiting for footsteps, without fearing the next insult wrapped in a smile. Only the wind outside, and the breath I finally remembered was mine. I sealed the envelope tight. No return address, no scent, no smiley stickers, just his name, printed, clean. Inside, I placed the key first. Small brass, smooth from age. It opened the deposit box, not the house, not the safe. Something better. Next, the document. A copy of the trust. Not Derek's name, not Vanessa's, only Wyatt's. Held until he turned 21, conditional, protected, irrevocable, no early release, no substitutions, no hands but his. Last a note. You are loved, but not entitled. That was all. No story, no guilt, no instructions. He already knew. He'd watched. He'd listened from the stairs. Sat beside me when the voices upstairs turned sharp. Chose silence, then crayons, then letters. He remembered who held his backpack every morning, who brought his socks in from the dryer. He would understand. I walked it to the post office myself, mailed it certified. Not because I doubted it would arrive, but because I wanted to know when it did. I watched the clerk stamp it, slide it away. I walked out. Didn't look back. No one else received anything. No final letters. No explanations. No apologies. They wouldn't know what I still held. or what I had already released. The rest I left with the lawyer. They could fight the wind if they wanted, but the wind didn't keep receipts. Back at the condo, I opened all the windows. Let September blow through, let dust scatter. Let the quiet hum like a second heartbeat. I made coffee. Strong, dark. Poured 1 cup. Left the other beside an empty chair. Not for a guest. For the woman I had been. I let her sit. I let her breathe. I let her forgive me for waiting so long to leave. So long to speak. So long to remember who she was before she was erased. The mug steamed. The candle flickered. The envelope was gone. And the only thing left was space. I opened the window wide. Let the morning cut through the quiet. Cold air. Honest air. No permission needed. I brewed the coffee strong, black, 1 mug, no extra cup, no second pour. I placed the keys on the table. Car, condo, storage unit. Not for surrender, not for anyone else. Just proof that I had doors now. Real ones. Chosen ones. Locked or open on my terms. The chair faced the lake. Nothing between me and the view. No curtains. No silhouettes listening from hallways. I sat. The wind lifted the hem of my sleeve. I didn't pull it down. Didn't fix myself. Didn't shrink. I reached for the slip of paper I'd written days ago. Taped it above the window. 4 words. Blue ink. This life is no longer funded by shame. I looked at it for a long time. Didn't blink. Didn't cry. Just sipped. The breeze curled against my jaw like memory. Not heavy anymore. The pain was gone. Or maybe it was still there, but without the echo. Without the apology. Silence held its shape. Not empty. Not afraid. Just earned. The phone rang once in the drawer. I didn't reach for it. The sun moved across the hardwood. Lit up the rug. Caught the gold rim of the mug. No voices. No feet overhead. No shouts from the kitchen. Just my breath. Just the hum of being. Wyatt would find the key. Not today. Not tomorrow. But one day. He'd know. He'd see the choices. The warnings. The kindness wrapped in boundary. And he'd remember that love doesn't mean staying in rooms where you're erased. The coffee cooled. I didn't mind. I leaned back, closed my eyes. The wind moved in again, so I let it.